interested in one more thing. I've read once, and I would like your opinion whether it holds or not, that we could the Orion, the star system Orion, could be traced back to meaning urine, and since Amanita muscara, when you eat it, you can also drink the urine, and you are, according to some people, even more strongly affected by the active chemistry.
Yes.
Do you think that holds? And since
the word Orion comes from the Greek, I believe, to make water, and we suggest in our book, as well as others, that indeed there is a tie between Orion and the urine drinking custom. There's one book out there that argues against it, but I don't think their research is very strong in order to support their case. But I would have to agree that yes, it does appear that the word Orion means urine, and as far as the urine drinking custom and it being stronger, what happens is the ibotenic acid is excreted in the urine in unaltered form. It's a cyclamide, I forget how to pronounce the word exactly, hydroxamic acid or whatever. It means that it's not destroyed in the body when it passes through. And so it can be reconsumed, and the ibotenic acid converts into mucimol in the body and is what gets us high. And some of the mucimol comes out in the urine as well. But the urine can be recycled up to 5 or 7 times, and it is suggested by many to actually facilitate a much stronger experience by those who are daring enough to try it. As far as the urine drinking itself, a lot of people will consider that very filthy and disgusting, but that's a very cultural bias. Many cultures actually, like in India and China, they believe that urine is very healthy. And if your readers are interested in more research in that area, I recommend they go on Google and do a search for urine therapy, and they'll get thousands of results back. In fact, a lot of medical products today are made with urine.
All right. Okay, Jan, you've also, could we move on a little bit? I know you've written about the works by Allegro. You've also checked what he was discovering. Now, Allegro, as it seems to me, was in this not really good position. He in one place he was his findings.
You're cutting out on me a little bit. Can you repeat that?
Yeah. If we could talk somewhat about Allegro's claims about the whole Christian faith, the Christian religion, that Jesus actually did not exist as we believe he did, nor did the apostles. That they were more so just the secret code names for different plants, maybe Amanita muscaria. Now there was a lot. The Catholic Church did not disagreed with Allegro, and there was also people working in the drug field, such as Jonathan Ott, Wasson, that disregarded his findings. But I know that you revitalized his work. You've checked it over again. Could you please talk a little bit of what holds with Allegro's findings and what
Well, that's a very good question. I've actually just completed a new article called "The Schism: Wasson versus Allegro," where psychoactive substances involved in the foundation of Christianity, and looking at the attacks from Wasson and Ott on Allegro, etc., in his research. And basically what I found was that Wasson made up all of his attacks, and when we went back through and actually verified every single reference and footnotes in Allegro's book to the original source, all of the sources checked out, and all of the errors that were in fact related back to Wasson, Schultes, Puharich, and some of Wasson's other friends. So it's kind of interesting that Wasson attacked Allegro. Now, the biggest attack on Allegro by Wasson was the argument by Erwin Panofsky, and Michael Hoffman and I collaborated on an article last year that totally debunked the Panofsky interpretation. Basically, what Erwin Panofsky was arguing as an art historian was that even though mushrooms look exactly like mushrooms, they're really stylized Italian pine trees. But what Erwin Panofsky still failed to recognize was that the pine trees are exactly what the Amanita grows underneath in symbiotic relationship with the roots. And the entire argument was based on the assumption that mycologists don't read art books. But the art historians failed to recognize in their argument that art historians do not read mycology books. So the argument was really a very silly, baseless assertion by Wasson and Panofsky. And what happened was in December 1953, Wasson sent Professor Ramsbottom at the London Botanical Museum a letter stating that the interpretation of the Plain Corault of France, rightly or wrongly, was going to be disregarded as a mushroom. Well, when Allegro was writing The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross, he came across Wasson's letter in Ramsbottom's second edition of the book in an addendum on page 48. And basically what Allegro did to discredit Wasson was to quote his own words, rightly or wrongly, we're going to discredit the Amanita or the Plain Corault as Amanita. So Wasson's entire argument was based on an assertion by an art historian who didn't study mycology and didn't know the facts of the history surrounding the matter. And Wasson himself had actually refused to study entheogens in Christianity, which we show in the new article. He had actually come out and attacked Allegro because Allegro was willing to go into Christianity and study it. What Wasson argued was that the use of mushrooms was limited to the book of Genesis and 1000 BCE, long before Christian origins. So his position was very safe. He didn't want to threaten Christianity, and what we later found out was that Wasson was actually an account manager when he was vice president of J.P. Morgan, the banking company. He was account manager to the Vatican and worked directly with the Pope. We can't say that he had that this had a direct influence on his research and his findings, but it's highly suggestive that Wasson, working with the Pope, intentionally limited his research. And when Allegro refused to be restrained by Wasson's 1000 BCE limitation, and Allegro, being a Dead Sea Scrolls expert, just decided to go around Wasson and study the mushrooms into Christianity, and dismissed Wasson based on his own shaky letter to Ramsbottom. Unfortunately, none of that ever got out to the public, and Wasson lied about it and covered it up until his death, and made up lies that we show in this new article that others like Ott repeated. And unfortunately, Allegro took